Haunting the narrative. Character who haunts the narrative is one whose influence is significantly felt throughout the story despite their limited physical presence or even if they are deceased. That definition is from an Alien Stage TikTok. So haunting the narrative has been this recent trend where people edit characters that haunt the narrative. The problem is that nobody knows what the hell that means. We're including Makima Chainsaw Man in these. The woman in the show who affects the plot while alive in the show haunts the narrative. Like every haunting the narrative edit includes a different definition. So you know what I'm gonna do? The exact same thing. I'm gonna make my own definition in this YouTube video. Haunting the narrative. Definition. The action of influencing a story's plot significantly while not being physically present for events the viewer witnesses. Their absence or their actions changes several aspects of the plot and the characters. That's my definition, and it's pretty similar to most other definitions on TikTok anyway, so let's go through some characters that haunt the narrative. So, I can start with a bunch of different series, but I want to go through one that is publicly universally loved by everyone. Breaking Bad and Better Call Saul. Spoilers of course, but you've probably already been spoiled by most of the series through memes or YouTube shorts or whatever. Anyway, Max Arciniega from Breaking Bad, partner in both business and romance to Gus Fring, the GOAT. What's crazy is that his death legitimately connects to all the characters in the story. His death canonically happens first in the timeline. Gus wouldn't have hustled so hard to avenge Max, Nacho wouldn't have had to follow Gus's demands the whole time, Jimmy wouldn't have had to join Nacho and get involved with the cartel again, Mike wouldn't have had been so involved in the cartel in general, and without Gus, there is no Walter White and Breaking Bad. Nearly all of the events in these shows legitimately center around this tragic death. It's insane. I mean, honestly, Doomed Yaoi was the only thing that could cause as great and well-written shows like these two. Now let's switch over to another goated show, Gravity Falls. Spoilers, but all these shows I'm gonna talk about have those. So in Gravity Falls, there's journals, whatever you've watched the show. The author's the bruh! Yeah, Stanford Pines isn't just one of the best twists in animated history, he's also one of the best characters to ever haunt a narrative. His actions directly cause the whole Bill Cipher arc in the show, which ends up being the most important part of the show, and his decision to fight with Stanley, try to convince Dipper to join him, causes the finale and several intertwining character arcs to occur in one of the best 3-part finales in animated history. This show was good! Notice how I mentioned he causes the most intertwined overarching part of the show to occur through his absence and his actions. By my and most people's definitions of haunting the narrative, a character doesn't necessarily have to impact the whole show. Weirdness Magnetism in Gravity Falls was discovered by Stanford but not created by him, and other character arcs occurred during the show. The important part is that he affects the plot significantly and impacts what ends up being the main characters' final appearances. Here's an example of someone who haunts a character but not necessarily the narrative. In Atlanta, watch the show if you haven't. Gravity Falls is animated Twin Peaks. This is Twin Peaks with rappers, direct quote from Donald Glover, the guy who made it. In the show is the character Lorraine, who's Alfred/Paperboy's mom. Her appearances or pseudo-appearances through Paperboy's subconscious usually always signal a more emotional or more serious episode. Woods and New Jazz are such emotionally moving episodes. Woods especially goes so hard, and the exploration of Paperboy's fear and grief are so well acted by Brian Tyree Henry, it's unbelievable. But the thing is, her character doesn't really haunt the narrative. She causes Paperboy to grow in maturity and establish his place in fame, but she's neither the entirety of his character development nor the cause for several important plot points in the show. She haunts the character but not the narrative. Let's talk about something people get less emotional over. Undertale. Seriously though, I feel like if you're watching this video, you've been as emotionally impacted by Undertale as me. I mean, it's Undertale, you know? It's an experience. Kara Undertale, why'd they make me do that? It's crazy that Toby Fox made Undertale in like 2.5 years. He thought of Deltarune before Undertale, which makes me scared what Deltarune will be. But Undertale to me is already such an amazing feat because he put so much in a game that was developed and written in 2.5 years. Francis Ford Coppola started writing Megalopolis in the 1980s and released that not half-baked but raw in 2024.
Entitles me?
Yes.
Entitles me?
Yeah. So go back to the club.
Toby Fox wrote Undertale in 32 months, and banger video essays about it are still being released, discovering new lore, and there's emotionally heartbreaking poetry about it still being released. Thank you, Toby Fox. And with regards to haunting the narrative, Toby Fox even puts a spin on that with Kara. Kara haunts the narrative but is there the entire time by being the narrator and consistent connected force in the game. They still do the actual haunting the narrative thing by not being physically there but still causing Flowey to crash out, reconsider, and free monsters in the pacifist route. Literally the whole setup of the plot and the ending of the game is centered around the relationships of these two characters. And in the genocide route, their haunting is so strong they help you cause the end of the world. And Toby Fox puts an even further twist by having Kara there and not there, and also being part of the meta narrative. You as the player can affect how Kara sees the world, similar to how Azrael changed how we saw the world when becoming Flowey and gaining video game like abilities. Just remember, this man wrote this and it's all brilliantly layered and emotionally well done. The crazier thing is he did it again. Oops, I did it again.
again.
In Deltarune, Toby Fox has the character Des, the most talked about, most fan-arted about, most known lost girl. Her disappearance is an event we don't know much about still. Is she lost in the code, or in a knight's body, or in a bunker, or even all gastered and spread between the three? Well, wherever she is, her disappearance ripples throughout the events of the game. It causes a rift in the entire Holiday family, with Carol being overprotective, Noelle having to deal with this traumatizing event, the mother-daughter relationship breaking, leading to Rudy having to try and keep the family together, and the Dreamer family literally gets broken up, since it's implied Asgore working on the Des disappearance case led to the divorce with Toriel. Add to that is Azriel's entire life, his entire being is fundamentally destroyed because of the heavily implied close romantic relationship between the two suddenly ending because of her disappearance. This dialogue kills me. And if we're believing that Des is the knight, then she's also, probably unconsciously, responsible for causing the Dark Worlds to exist, maybe even causing my goat Ralsei to break down, which is bad because it's sad, but it's good because it causes the best video game doomed yaoi. Des's haunting of the narrative is so emotionally impactful because it causes so many characters to change and break down, and the game sets the character arcs up so perfectly to start changing, overcoming, and accepting this event. You can already see this happening with characters such as Noelle in Chapter 2 and Chris in Chapter 4. But yeah, those two are definitely the only narrative haunters of Undertale and Deltarune. Anyway, remember when I referenced Twin Peaks? Well, let's talk about the classic narrative haunter, Laura Palmer. From the first episode, she's gone, dead, wrapped in plastic. Everyone is impacted by Laura Palmer's disappearance because they cared about her so much, but the reason she's dead is because of everyone. This sentiment is echoed throughout the whole show, I think. Side note, no, I haven't seen the whole show because I heard the middle of season 2 the show kind of sucks a bit, but then the last few season 2 episodes are fantastic again, and then season 3, released 25 years later, is crazy. My motivation to watch shows fully always dips down whenever I hear a part of it gets bad. I haven't finished Community yet, even though I heard season 5 and 6 were pretty decent because I heard season 4 sucks. I watched the first episode of season 4 and I agree, it sucks, so I never finished it. Anyway, back on topic. I feel like this is a fantastic example of one of the first times a trope being done is one of the best times a trope is done. Laura's presence throughout Twin Peaks is so felt, and it's a consistent underlying note of tragedy through the town's weird symphonic nature. This is an ensemble show with such a connected story, and it's so bizarre to see that the transpiring events are all connected to one character. Anyway, let's go back to stupid quirky indie games and talk about Omori. Remember when I said Des's haunting of the narrative is so emotionally good since it causes so many characters to change? That's literally what Marie does in Omori. She's there, but really only in the headspace sections, and it's revealed to be just Sunny's subconscious memory of Marie as he goes through the grieving process. Additionally, Omori is a game about grief and forgiveness, like that one Brian Wilson song / biopic, Love and Mercy. You should go watch that. Each character is changed due to Marie's death, and it's so emphasized by the different experiences in the headspace and faraway town sections of the game. They play and feel so different. The tone and relationships of each character feels changed with each individual's experience through grief being so emphasized. Omori can be summed up with the Kendrick Lamar lyric, "I grieve different." The game shows how different characters grieve / what happens during the grieving process / what happens after they've grieved. That's what's so interesting about Omori. Now let's talk about lesbian space rocks. In Steven Universe, Rose f***ing Quartz, she's like the Princess Bubblegum of this world, bro. She's neither a bad person nor a good person. She's the morally gray of morally grays, and her haunting the narrative is so different, causing interdimensional universal depression that each character has to solve throughout the show, sometimes incredibly well written and sometimes no, is wild. Her haunting causes the story. She caused the pink diamond shattering, the gem war, and Steven's existence. Abandoning your 100-year-long lesbian situationship for an indie pop guy is messed up. Easily the worst thing she did, not all that war crime stuff. Is she a good character though? Yes, the show, well, less so in the show, but more in Steven Universe Future, aka Let's Fix the Show's Plot and Writing Problems, the miniseries, addresses her moral grayness, which is fantastic. Correction, they actually do a major episode where they address her moral grayness. You see, I'm too internet brain / rational to love Steven Universe, and I'm too internet brain / rational to hate Steven Universe. Also, her speech in season 1 about Steven being born is still incredible, still a tearjerker, still genuinely one of the most emotional scenes in animation history, TBH. This is a viral tweet. And to add to her character's narrative, it's one of the most interesting examples of a reverse character arc. Like the entire culmination of every good and bad action and event she does and goes through culminates in this moment, which you see first. Which is so interesting regarding the haunting the narrative thing, since as the show gets more intense and serious, her character arc, the more negative aspects of her character and her very beginning is shown until a single pale rose, where her character arc literally becomes full circle and she continues to haunt the narrative after that, in the show, in the movie, in the miniseries ending. Thank you, Rebecca Sugar.